All right, man. So AJ defeats Ottawa Wallin in 5. The corner stops it. It really wasn't much to write home about. Um, he was just too fast, too big, too strong for Anthony Joshua. Joshua had the right hand going to the body. Wallin caught him with a couple shots, but I seen when Ottawa Wallin really wasn't trying to step to Anthony Joshua. I seen when Ottawa Wallin really wasn't trying to, how can I say it? He really wasn't trying to like push the pace, and Joshua was able to fight at his own pace. That it was over with. Joshua was landing, and some of the punches that Ottawa Wallin was clipping Joshua with here and there. Um, um, Anthony Joshua wasn't bothered by him. He couldn't stop Joshua. When you fight Joshua, you got to set a high pace. You got to start touching Wild Joshua, make Joshua respect your power. And he didn't have no respect for Ottawa Wallin power. And I thought that's where the issue came in with it. That AJ wasn't in there with a puncher, and if you can't hurt Anthony Joshua, then for the most part, that's all she wrote. Joshua had a good game plan, and I think that was a perfect opponent to be in there with. We was all figuring out why he was fighting the southpaw, and then he wasn't. He didn't fight Zhang, and Zhang could punch, and that was one of the reasons why. He didn't want to fight Zhang. I guess they didn't want to put him in there with Zhang. Um, so I guess that was one of the issues there. But at the same time, he did what he had to do. Wallin couldn't hurt him. Wallin just couldn't do nothing with him. Wallin couldn't do nothing with him. He was in there with an opponent that they did a good job of matching him with. AJ had a lot of activity going. Um, AJ had a lot of activity going. So, and Wallin just fought not too long ago too. So that, nobody had excuse about, activity or nothing like that. And Wilder was just a better, Joshua was just a better fighter. Um, his speed, his fast twitch muscles, his rhythm, his balance. Everything he had going for him tonight. His power, he hit Wallin. He was pushing Wallin back. He had the body shot going, and Ben Davison had a really, really good game plan going there for him. So I think you had to respect it. I feel like you had to respect it. So, Joshua got in there, did what he was supposed to do. In 5 rounds, wasn't that nothing that Ottawa Wallin can do? And now they're saying that Joshua's got the number 2 spot in the IBF, and now he gets to go out there and he gets to go beat up on possibly Philip Parkovich. So for the vacant IBF, if they strip the Fury and Usyk winner, or they strip one of them before they end up fighting. So but I don't, like I said before, if you can't hurt Anthony Joshua, or you can't set a really, really high pace for Anthony Joshua, you're not gonna beat him. He too physically gifted to beat. So so Wallin kind of was the perfect opponent in there, man. Couldn't hurt him. Didn't have that, was outgunned in every match. Just looking at the fight on paper, like a good fight that you know, that he can do something. But I knew kind of him not being able to punch might be an issue. Maybe he can outbox Joshua. I just thought outboxing Joshua, I thought outboxing Joshua, he was possibly gonna get robbed. You know, but I know he didn't have the power to keep Joshua off of. Would have hurt Joshua early. I thought maybe he can, set a high pace, and set a high pace, and and possibly, then maybe hurt, Joshua down the line, with conditioning, but it didn't even make it to the halfway point. So, unfortunately, Father Wallin now, he had a good fight versus Fury, and maybe that just was an off night for Fury, or maybe that was just a lucky night for him. But I think he was all wrong for him. I think Joshua was too explosive, too rangy, too fast. too powerful for Anthony Joshua for Ottto Wallin. And Wallin just didn't really have an answer. He tried to hang in there. He couldn't box him, couldn't get on the inside his reach. And Joshua just had it his way. So they knew it was pretty much a wrap for um for Uchiwali, Ottto Wallin. So they knew that it was a matter of time. And unfortunately, it wasn't, the two main events we had today, even though Parker scored an upset, that was anticlimactic. It was nothing really significantly landed here. And in the Joshua Wallin fight, it just wasn't nothing great. Nothing really great really happened. You know, nothing great really happened in there, in my opinion. So, it was just on Joshua handled business per usual. Wilder didn't, and it just, we was expecting, more. I think the undercards delivered before you got to the Beagle fight. When you got to the Beagle fight, that was just so anticlimactic. And that's the problem with boxing and people paying their money, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Boxing is just too inconsistent. But I think the undercard kind of delivered, where the main three fights, last three fights, they under delivered. They didn't deliver on what they supposed to be. And that wasn't Joshua's fault, but Wilder didn't come prepared, wasn't serious about his craft, was doing too much laughing, giggling, and kikiing and looking forward to AJ. AJ had focus. Bevel, he tried to step it up with a guy on the leg replacement, but he just, he tried to throw some hard shots, but didn't get him out of there. I think Edgar Cabal had a great performance out there. Miller and Du Bois, that was another really good fight. So some of the previous fights, before the last three fights, Bevel, Wilder, and Joshua, they were better than the main cards. And that's the problem with boxing. You spend your money and you just never know what you're going to get. And that's the problem. It's too inconsistent. It's too inconsistent. I think pay-per-view should be reserved for big fights, fighting big fighters. Not mismatches, not tune-ups leading up to a big fight. We knew somebody was going to lose leading up to Wilder and Joshua. Anytime they get a rendezvous going for fights, we know what's going on. Even with Fury and Usyk, if we being real, Ngannou really beat Tyson Fury. So, but hey, it is what it is. Check the fight reaction playlist. Shout out to Joshua, got the job done. Eddie Hearn gonna pop a lot of big shit about Wilder, so be prepared for that. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. I'm there. Hit the link tree. Appreciate the love, support. Peace.